Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Medical Board of California Quarterly Board Meeting Day 2. Pursuant to SB 189, this meeting is being conducted via WebEx. Public comments will be heard for individuals wishing to do so. In order to be ready for public comment, we ask to please ensure that your comments can be heard clearly by being connected to the audio of this meeting through the proper method. If you are having difficulty hearing the audio of this meeting, it could be because the device you are connecting with has bandwidth limitations. If you do have difficulty hearing the audio of this meeting using your device, please click the ellipsis button at the bottom of the WebEx application or the audio and video menu item at the top of the WebEx application, and then select Switch Audio. You'll see an option to call in and will be provided with a telephone number, access code, and attendee ID that can be used to connect to the meeting audio via phone. Using the information provided, it will automatically disconnect your device's audio and connect your phone to the name you joined the meeting with. By using this method, if you're having audio problems with your device, this will still allow you to participate and hear the audio of the board meeting. Please see the instructions on how to connect link on the last page of the meeting agenda for step-by-step WebEx instructions, including screenshots. Thank you, Ms. Lawson. You can now start the meeting.
Thank you, Sean, and welcome back, everyone, to the February 2023 quarterly board meeting of the Medical Board of California. Since this meeting is being conducted via WebEx again, I will ask all board members and presenters to please announce themselves by name before speaking for clarity of the official record. All board members are able to unmute themselves during the meeting to speak, but please do place yourself back on mute when not speaking to reduce background noise for all participants. Following this online meeting etiquette will ensure the best audio quality for everyone. During each call for comments from board members and speakers, we will ensure that all comments that can be accommodated are heard before proceeding with the agenda. I ask that you be respectful of the need to conduct the board's business. Government Code Section 11126.5 does allow a board to remove people who willfully interrupt a meeting and to clear the room or virtual space if order cannot be restored by removing or muting the disruptive people. The board's IT staff will assist me with receiving the public comments via WebEx during this meeting. When the public comment period is opened on each agenda item, the host moderating this WebEx event will activate the Q&A feature of WebEx and will ask anyone wishing to make a public comment to indicate so by replying yes. The host will then call on individuals who indicated they wish to make public comments by name. And when called upon, the host will unmute the microphone of the individual and they will have 3 minutes to make their public comment. The host will audibly announce when the 15 seconds remain to conclude the public comment. And after the 3 minutes have lapsed, the individual will be placed back on mute. The total public comment period per agenda item today has been limited to 20 minutes. And therefore, after 20 minutes, no further comments will be accepted. I would like to remind all speakers to please stay on topic and keep your comments to the allotted time or less. Today's meeting will be run according to the Open Meeting Act as required by law. We do plan to end today's meeting by 2 p.m., but because we took a couple of items yesterday, I think that perhaps we'll be ending a little bit sooner. I would like to formally call the meeting to order at 9:05 a.m. and ask that board members unmute their computers so Ms. Lopez can please call the roll. Ms. Lopez?
Dr. Balat,
Here.
Dr. Hawkins,
Here.
Ms. Lubiana,
Here.
Dr. Mahmood,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Present.
Dr. Sai,
Here.
Dr. Thorpe,
Here.
Madam President Lawson.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Lopez. A quorum is present. Board members, please remute your computers. We are now going to move on to agenda item 16, which is the Executive Director Recruitment and Selection Process. And for this item, we welcome representatives from the Department of Consumer Affairs to present.
Good morning, board members. My name is Tuan Hai Vo. Please call me Hai. It's the last 3 letters of my first name. And I am the Assistant HR Chief over Classification Recruitment at HCA. Also in attendance today is HR Chief Olivia Trejo and a staff member, Cherie Belair, who will be taking notes. During today's open session, I will provide an overview of the Executive Director Recruitment and Selection Process, review the duty statements and recruitment announcement to obtain your feedback and suggestions. I will begin with the Executive Director Recruitment and Selection Process at this time. Please feel free to use the hand raise icon and let me know if you have any questions along the way. The Executive Director Recruitment and Selection Process will require 2 members who will have time and interest to participate in the selection process. We do plan to formally appoint a search committee in today's meeting. The members will be chosen by the board to be part of the search committee to assist with the entire recruitment activities. In today's meeting, we will have an opportunity to review and finalize the duty statement and recruitment announcement, which will be used for the executive director advertisement. It is recommended that executive director advertisement be posted for 30 days and is advertised on CalHR's platform, but may be advertised externally as well, such as through Capital Morning Report. Any costs associated with posting externally will be billed to the board. Advertising for this recommended period will allow for a longer visibility of the opportunity, potentially increasing applicant pool. It will also allow time for the board members and staff to share the opportunities with their constituents, listserv, and industry groups. During the advertisement period, I or a designee will work directly with the search committee to determine application screening, interview questions, and potential interview dates. Misty McDaniel is one of my staff, and she will serve as the contact person on the advertisement and will provide the search committee with the applications received based on an agreed upon frequency. The search committee will review and screen applications received based on the desirable qualifications to determine candidates for initial or final interviews. Depending on the number of applications received, initial interviews are recommended if there is a large candidate pool, and they will be conducted with the search committee. Reference checks will be conducted for the top candidates prior to final interviews with the board members. At a next scheduled board meeting, in closed session, final interviews will be conducted for the top candidates. If it's too far out, the board member may do a special meeting with proper notice just to do final interviews. This will require a vote by board members to select a final candidate. Upon selecting the finalists for the executive director position, the director's approval must be attained and a start date and salary can be determined thereafter. The selection of the candidate must be kept confidential until candidate notification has been completed and accepted, and the unsuccessful candidates have been notified. DCA is required to obtain fingerprints and conduct a criminal conviction record review of the selected candidate for this position. This process is known as query. HR will work directly with the candidate on this requirement. Once the selected candidate has passed query and the board has received the director's approval for the selection per Business and Professional Code 2020, the board can work with public affairs to make the formal announcement. On the effective date of the appointment, the oath of office must be administered, which may be administered by any board member. Directions on administering the oath will be provided at a later time. This concludes the executive director recruitment and selection process overview. Do you have any questions regarding the executive director recruitment and selection process?
Board members have any questions?
This may be out, Dr. Hawkins, good morning, and I may be
Good
out of
morning.
order. As you are aware, we have a director and an assistant director. The second term may be incorrect. How does that process occur? That's out of order. I'll deal with that later.
Okay. I am going to defer that to my chief to respond.
And Dr. Hawkins, is your question, I mean, we're going to appoint an executive director and then we're going to also need to appoint a deputy director, correct? Although I think the deputy director is appointed by the executive director, so that's not a process we have to be involved with. I think that's correct, but maybe the chief from HR can let us know that.
That is my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Olivia Trejo, and as indicated earlier, I am the Chief of the Office of Human Resources. And correct, you do have the authority to appoint the Executive Director for the board, and the Assistant Deputy Director is a civil service classification that is appointed by the Executive Director. So you will not be involved in that recruitment if it were to become vacant.
Dr. Balot, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. Just for my own knowledge, has this, and I was looking for a revision date, has this job position changed substantially since 2015? I guess there was a change in 2015. It was a new one. And if so, can you just, if you have it available, any changes in percentage or any categories that were added or deleted?
So this position was last recruited for in 2019, November of 2019. So that was the last time there was any changes to the duty statements. Based on what was shared with the board on January 27th, there was no changes to the duty statements made other than to bring the pay scale to current.
Okay, thank you.
And one more question for me, I guess. Or other board members have any questions? I don't see any other hands up or anyone indicating. All right, my question is just, even if we have an internal candidate, we are required to go through this recruitment process, is my understanding, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so what is the next step for us to appoint a search committee?
Okay. So yes, it is for us to talk about the two members you would like to appoint as the search committee.
Okay, and I guess I have in my notes here that the board president is supposed to appoint the search committee. And I also have in my notes here, I think, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but that the past practice has been that the search committee be the president and the board vice president. But I'm open, if there's anybody else who really wants to be involved, I'm open to hearing that as well. Anyone else? Or do you want Dr. Hawkins and I to be the search committee? Okay, Dr. Hawkins, you and I are the search committee, it looks like. Unless
Thank you.
Dr. Hawkins won't agree to do it.
I accept.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else we need to do on that front, or is that sufficient? Ms. Webb, I guess I'm looking to you to see if I need to do anything else. You're on mute, but are we all set?
You made the appointment, so that's fine.
Perfect. Okay. Now I guess we need to move on to the duty statement and recruitment announcement. So I'll turn it back over to DCA.
Thank you. So President Lawson, I will email you both the search committee, my contact information after the meeting, so you will have that to make contact with me. Next on the agenda, I'd like to review the duty statements. It was sent to the board on January 27th. As I said earlier, the duty statement shared was adopted on November of 2019, and no changes were made other than to bring the salary to current. For the duty statement, does the board have any changes or amendments they would like to make?
I don't have any. Does anyone have any changes or amendments? Doesn't look like it.
Okay, since there are no amendments to the duty statement, I will defer to legal to make motion.
Are we going to do, I think we're going to do the recruitment statement announcement too at this in the same motion. So could we go over that as well?
Sure. Okay, we can do that. So Sean, I don't know if you can share screen with the board of the
I can pass you the presenter role, but I wouldn't have what you're planning on presenting unless you can email it to me real quick or something.
We do have the recruitment state, or what is it called? The recruitment announcement is on page BRD 16D1 of our board packets. So we should all have that.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so so I'm going to have you look at the duty state, I'm sorry, the posting, and the beginning sections of the posting is standard language. What I would like to bring your attention to is the desirable qualifications and experience. Please just take a minute to look at that and let me know if there are any suggested changes or edits that you would like made
Anyone have any suggested changes or edits?
Looks
All
good.
right, I think I'm sorry, Dr. Thorpe?
No.
Nope, all right. It looks like we're good to go there. So if we could have a motion to approve the executive director duty statement and the recruitment announcement.
So
Oh.
moved.
Thank
Second,
you.
Dr. Hawkins.
Okay, we have a motion from Dr. Thorpe and a second from Dr. Hawkins. So we're now going to go to public comments on the recruitment. Sean, could you help me out by opening that up?
I'm sorry, there's another section on the job posting that we need to vote on. And it's on the application requirement. On the statement of qualifications, we have to vote on how many pages is required for the applicant to submit for the statement of qualifications, and also the minimum number of professional reference that we would have the applicant submit. Those are 2 items that we would also need to vote on
That
for
we
the
need.
job posting.
So in the recruitment announcement that we have, it suggests 3 pages for the statement of qualifications as the maximum, and it suggests 3 letters of reference. Are you recommending something different than what's in our?
No,
packet?
it's our
Okay.
recommendation, but it's also for you to agree or confirm if you accept the recommendation.
Okay, does anybody want to make any changes?
I move that we accept those recommendations of 3 pages for statement of qualifications and 3 letters of professional reference.
Okay.
Dr. Hawkins, second.
Okay, great. And is there anything else DCA needs direction from us on before we go to public comment?
No, that is all.
Okay,
Madam Chair, just point of information.
yes,
In the document, it appears that we have some areas that are highlighted, which those two areas were highlighted. But there's a third area that's highlighted. The final filing date for this recruitment is. Do we need to determine that before we finalize this motion?
I think that's dependent on when we make this decision, right? So I think it's tied to like today's date and then when it gets posted. If I'm not.
Right, so that final filing date, the recommendation for our posting is 30 days. And if we agree to that 30-day posting, it's dependent on when we release the posting, and it's 30 days out is the final filing date.
Great. Okay, let's move to public comment. Sean.
Very good, Ms. President Lawson. The Q&A window, the hand raising feature available for anyone wishing to make a public comment. Also, I see some call-in users there. You can toggle raising your hand by pressing *3 on the phone, and we'll call on you in the order that that I see the hands go up in at least. So first one here we saw was from Black Patients Matter, requesting to unmute here. Good morning, are you there? Okay, I see your line is open, but we're not hearing you. If you have another mute on your device or anything like that, if you could unmute that. Okay, we'll circle back. Let's see, going here to V. V's next up. V, you should be receiving a request to unmute your mic on your end.
Hello.
Good morning, V. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
First, it'd been nice to actually see these documents you're talking about because I was searching for them and I could not find them in time. So putting them on the screen would have been helpful. So we are actually involved. Second, I'm highly concerned about the current executive director and his ability to critically think and move into a preventative stance. And discussing with him, it was can't, won't, instead of let's discuss these ideas, let's expand these ideas, let's see what we can do with these ideas. And they're also more concerned about taking time away from the doctor than preventing patient safety, and the stance of the California Medical Board's constitutional right to lobby is more important than the lives of Californians is extremely concerning to me. And if these are who you want to be your leaders, nothing will change. Because the California Medical Board stance, the stance of California Medical Board's constitutional right to lobby is more important than the lives of our lives and our well-being. Knowing that the people they talk to have been greatly impacted is absolutely concerning. And if they can't understand the impact they're making on somebody who's already been significantly traumatized, they should not have a role in being an executive director. So I highly, highly, highly recommend against the current one. And I recommend putting prevention and somebody who is very critical thinking and can think unbiased on both sides of the line and do what's best, instead of somebody in line with the doctors whose mindset is I can't, I won't, I can't, I won't, I can't, I won't, and critically thinking of what they're doing. And is able to like look at the whole picture and put in a system that is helpful. Because this current executive director is unable to do that. So I really, really hope you pick one that is very focused on preventative measures and is a patient safety expert and really gets the system. And somebody who has skin in the game, because this guy doesn't have skin in the game. He doesn't give a shit about any of us or what we've gone through or how he can help us. So please be really critical thinking in your job. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up, we have Rosie Arthur's. Rosie, you should be receiving that request. There you go, Rosie. Looks like your line's open.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We can. Please go ahead.
Okay. I was on page 2 of the handout, and as I went to click on the thing, I lost the place. So just a second here while I get back to the right place. At the second bullet, the language is rather vague, and it is a place for some real problems in the future. It says familiarity with the Medical Practice and Administrative Practice Acts. And why I bring this to your attention is, what do you mean by familiarity with the Medical Practice Act and how conversant a person is with that, and the Administrative Procedures Act? This is the big pitfall. Throughout the regulations, you have a scheme whereby agencies, etc., do business as usual and develop what are called para regulations. And they rely on the Office of Administrative Procedures to have oversight over the Administrative Procedures Act. And what you end up with is a number of conflicting pieces of legislation that have been made into regulations so that a entity can pick and choose from which they want to support their agenda. And it may have nothing to do with the law, or maybe more in developing these para regulations. And therefore, you have people not getting notice that need to get noticed, people not getting timely notice. You have conflicting laws so that you have people, enforcement going down that's in conflict with the actual law that should have preference. Then you have consumers who are not being listened to because somebody else's best interest is being catered to as opposed to the focus of the board. So I think this area is very, very, very important, that even the definition needs to be clarified so that any candidate you have, internal or external, knows what they're getting into, and it's not just relying on the OAP to timestamp something and it being published in the register and business going on as usual with this unwritten set of regulations. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your public comment. Just double checking the Q&A window here. That's all the requests I see at this time, President Lawson.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sean. Thanks to the commenters. We'll bring it back to the board. We do have a motion from Dr. Thorpe, second from Dr. Hawkins to approve the executive director duty statement and the recruitment announcement. And unless there are any further comments from members, I'm not seeing any. I will ask Ms. Lopez to please perform the roll call vote.
Dr. Balad,
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Ms. Lubiano,
Yes.
Dr. Mahmood, Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Dr. Sai,
Yes.
Dr. Thorpe,
Yes.
Madam President Lawson.
Yes. So that motion carries. Do we count Dr. Mahmood as an abstain? It looks like maybe he can't come off mute right now for some reason.
Yeah, that's fine. There's enough
Okay.
votes to carry the motion.
Terrific. Thank you. The executive director duty statement and the recruitment announcement are approved. And thank you to the team from DCA for joining us for our open session here. We're now going to be going into closed session for agenda item 17 to discuss and take possible action on the appointment of an interim executive director. So the members need to please exit this meeting and use the link that was previously provided to you to join the closed session meeting. And I believe I will return to the open session once we've concluded to adjourn the meeting back here in open session.
And yes, President Lawson, just for clarification, that closed session, I have it open, but it's the time start at 11 a.m. before we had the changes and adjustment and stuff. So members, if you're having trouble finding it, look for a time at 11 a.m. That's the closed session one for today.
Oh, terrific. Okay, we will see you over there.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And to all the public attendees, we will keep the meeting open here for adjournment. I'll be posting a slide that we're in closed session. And we, again, as President Lawson said, we will return here for adjournment at the conclusion of the closed session. Thank you very much. Welcome back, President Lawson. I just took down the slide for closed session, so ready to proceed when you are.
Terrific. It does still look like we have some members of the public here. Just wanted to return to thank everyone for participating in today's meeting. If you do have any ideas for future agenda items, please feel free to email the board's webmaster at webmaster@nbc.ca.gov. We may have an interim meeting in March to discuss legislation and sunset developments if necessary, and our next quarterly board meeting is scheduled for May 18th through 19th. As I mentioned yesterday, Dr. Hawkins will be leading the May meeting as I have a prior commitment. And there being no further board business, the meeting is adjourned for today. We will see you all either in March or in May. Thank you for participating. Have a great weekend, everyone.